For this video, mates, I tracked down the most dangerous dinosaur in all of the wild, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, and I sketched him with my trusty iPad Pro. Why do I think that drawing from life is one of the best drawing exercises I could possibly do? Well, I'm going to tell you my top 2 reasons that I think drawing from life is a great exercise. But first, I have to tell you, it doesn't have to be boring objects. As you can see, I'm literally looking at a Tyrannosaurus Rex right here in life. It's set up in my room with a light shining on it, and I can see it in all 3 dimensions. And you can see I'm sketching it right here on the iPad Pro, and I'm going to describe my process in just a minute. But if you're doing this on paper, you can do this on paper. You just have to do this sketching that I'm doing very lightly. Just sketch it very lightly, because we're going to do a very dark ink line over top of this once I get all the sketching in. So what I'm doing is I am looking for the basic shapes. When it comes to the head, I'm looking for the boxes and the triangular shapes. I'm trying to sketch it in 3 dimensions. And the neck is sort of a cylinder. The body is sort of an elongated egg shape. And the tail it's like a long tube that gets narrow at the end. So I'm looking for these cylinders, these boxes, and these square shapes. And I'm sketching them in. I'm drawing a little bit of the leg of the dinosaur on the other side. And by the way, I heard that Tyrannosaurus Rex only sell handguns, and that's because they are small arms dealers. They have very small arms. The top 2 reasons that I believe that drawing from life is an outstanding exercise. Reason number 1, it develops your virtual reality drawing machine in your brain. When you draw objects that you're literally looking at, 3-dimensional objects with a light on them, I can draw it from any angle and look at it from any angle. So then when I draw something from my imagination, a dragon or a dinosaur doing something that I want it to be doing, I'll also be able to draw it from any angle and make it look like a 3-dimensional live creature. Or it could be a scene that I'm drawing. The number 2 reason that drawing from life is an outstanding exercise is that it develops your instincts for light and shade. I have a bright light shining on this Tyrannosaurus Rex, and I can see the shadow that it's casting on the table. And I can see how the light hits the back and is shaded underneath. And the more that I draw real objects that are right in front of me and lighted, then when I draw something from my imagination, a monster, a dragon, a unicorn, a castle, a fantasy wood setting, then I can shine an imaginary light on that, and I'll have the great instincts to be able to draw the shadows in the right place, the shading in the right place, and make imaginary drawings look real. And I'm going to be doing that more and more often to get better at it. What I'm doing now in the drawing is that I lowered the opacity of the red sketch, and I'm doing a dark blue sketch on top of that with a little bit more detail in this second sketch. And again, if you're drawing on paper, just draw very lightly. And you can even start your sketch with a red color pencil and go over it again with a blue color pencil. And if you want to draw this exact dinosaur, I will leave a link in the description, and you can buy this exact dinosaur model and draw it yourself. In fact, if you want to buy it and draw it, you can email me a photo of it and I'll give you some advice, and I'll even send you a free PDF version of my upcoming dinosaur coloring book. An interesting fact about Tyrannosaurus rexes is they actually fought and battled with Triceratops, which is my second favorite dinosaur. Bones for Triceratops and T-Rexes have been found in the same area. And the bite from a T-Rex was said to be so powerful that it could crush bone, and so they used to hunt Triceratops and Ankylosauruses. What I'm doing is inking over top of my sketch. So what I'm doing is I am just creating lines. I'm using my sketch as a guide. I'm not going over it perfectly, but I'm trying to create thick and thin lines. I'm varying my line width. I'm drawing bumps over top of his eye bone. Getting some wrinkles in there. A little bit of start on the shading. I'm just going to be going over this. I'm going to be using very thick lines on the outlines and thinner lines on the inside on the details. And I'm just kind of using my creativity and imagination and going over these lines. I'm looking to make thick lines, thin lines. And the great thing about using an iPad is if you mess up, you can erase it. By the way, I'm using Procreate on my iPad Pro, which I highly recommend. I also love drawing on paper, but drawing on the iPad Pro is a lot of fun in the Procreate app. An interesting fact about the T-Rex is they had the largest teeth of any carnivorous dinosaur ever found. The largest tooth that ever was found is 12 inches long. Can you imagine that? Teeth that are a foot long. Most of their teeth were serrated on the edges like a steak knife. But all of its teeth did not have the same purpose. The front teeth gripped and pulled. The side teeth were created to tear flesh, and the back teeth were created to dice chunks of meat and force food into the throat. And so when drawing these teeth, I want them to look very dangerous, sharp, and powerful. Now I'm looking for ways to connect these outlines under the jaw. I'm looking for like an interesting way to create these lines. These are thick lines connecting with each other, becoming thin lines. I don't want it to be simple. I'm looking for ways to make it more dynamic. By discontinuing the line on the back and then drawing the muscle on the other side, connecting it to the back line, it kind of gives it a 3D feel. I think if you want to get good at drawing dinosaurs, there's no better way to draw dinosaurs from life. Just gather up a bunch of dinosaur toys, or you can buy this exact dinosaur from the link in the description and start drawing. That's how I plan on doing it. Basically, my goal is I want to become outstanding at drawing dinosaurs, and this is one of the ways that I am going to do it, and I'm going to video a lot of these drawings and document my progress. I'm going to draw the toy, but not just draw. I'm going to draw it from several different angles, and then I'll start drawing from my imagination these same dinosaurs moving in different positions, doing maybe running, hunting, fighting. And I'm just going to develop it to the best of my ability. If you want to see more videos like this, please click the like button and subscribe. I appreciate it. An interesting fact about Tyrannosaurus Rex is it's possible that they used to fight each other. T-Rex fighting T-Rex. Sort of like the ultimate MMA match, you know what I mean? There was a T-Rex found in 1992 named Stan. I don't know why they named it Stan, but it was probably after the person that found it. Anyway, Stan's bones had broken ribs that had been re-healed. They also found bones in the Stan skeleton of broken neck bones that had been re-healed. And they even found a hole in its skull, and the hole was about the size of a T-Rex tooth. So it sounds to me like these T-Rexes used to battle it out pretty good. Hard enough to break each other's bones. Can you imagine a fight between two T-Rexes? And it sounds like Stan got bit in the head by another Tyrannosaurus Rex. A Tyrannosaurus Rex could grow to 40 to 42 feet long. That's from head to tail, 42 feet. And a T-Rex's head by itself could grow to be 5 feet long. That was just the skull. One of the largest T-Rexes found was 5 feet long. Also, did you know that some T-Rexes had feathers? Actually, it's possible that Chinese T-Rexes had feathers. There are evidence, or there is evidence, that some T-Rexes had scales and other ones had feathers, and it's possible they had both. But a skeleton found in northern China had spots where it looks like indentations found in the rock that clearly outlined feathers. And there has been other indentations found in the rock that showed T-Rexes having scales. So I think it's possible, depending on where on the earth the dinosaurs lived, some of them had feathers, some of them had scales. Now I'm beginning to draw in the light, the shading that I see. I'm looking at the shadow that's hitting the table, and I'm trying to draw it in underneath the T-Rex. I'm not perfect at this yet, but I definitely want to get better at it. Now, I'm doing this on a different layer, so I'm going to draw right on top of my sketch, and then I'm going to go back and erase. But I'm sort of looking at the dinosaur with the light shining on it. I'm looking at the shadow it's casting on the table, and I'm trying to draw what I see. And this is going to help big time when I'm drawing something from my imagination that doesn't exist in the real world, just exists in my mind. But if I practice enough, drawing from life, then I'll know where those shadows land. At least that's what I hope. Okay, now that I've got the drop shadow on the ground underneath the dinosaur, I'm going to start shading in the shadows on the dinosaur itself. And basically I'm just looking at this T-Rex with the light shining on it and drawing what I see. I have heard people who are just getting started complain that they don't know where to put the shadows. Where in a situation like this, it is super easy. I'm just looking at the shadows and drawing what I see. But that's going to help big time. When I draw something from my imagination, it will develop an instinct as to where the shadows will fall. So if you want to get good at really shading and lighting something, draw from life. Put a light on it and draw the shadows that you see, and you'll definitely get better at it. I'm not claiming to be an expert, but I am getting better as we speak. And I plan on getting better every day. Okay, so right here I am just putting in the contour shadows. I'm leaving some space for the reflected light. Putting in more contour shadows on the leg. Then I'm smoothing out the bottom just to show the reflected light. And you don't really have to know all the technical terms for the lights and the shadows, because I can look right at the actual Tyrannosaurus Rex with the light shining on it and just draw what I see. So I'm just looking at where is it light and where is it dark, and trying to draw what I see. Just so you know, I'm doing all of these shadows on a separate layer than the lines, and I'm setting the shadow layer as a multiply layer. That way I can just come in on a layer on top of this, or below it actually, and drop in the color. So basically I created a color layer below the shadow layer, and I was able to drop in a flat color. But because the shadow layer is above it and it's set to multiply, it is applied to the flat color layer beneath, and you can still see the shadows. And now on my color layer, I'm going to begin to color in the details of this Tyrannosaurus. Well, that's just about it. There's a link in the description if you want to get this T-Rex and try drawing it. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll see you next time.